The council chamber was massive. It floated in space above a neutral station, and through the clear walls, stars stretched out in every direction. Inside, representatives from 20 different alien species sat in a circle. Their chairs rose high above the floor, making them look down on anyone who stood in the center. Han Sol stood in that center now. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. His uniform was simple and dark blue with no decorations or medals. Behind him stood two other humans. Jae-won was younger, with sharp eyes that never stopped moving. Daeun stood quiet and still, holding a datapad. Above them, Velroth spoke. The Vraxian was insect-like, with 4 arms and eyes that reflected light like black mirrors. His voice came through a translator that made it sound cold and mechanical. "Humanity has been given a great gift," Velroth said. "We allowed you to join the galactic community. We shared our knowledge. We showed you how to travel between stars. And this is how you repay us? By taking resources that belong to the Council?" Han Sol did not respond. He simply stood with his hands behind his back, looking up at the Council members. Another alien spoke up. This was Korvan, the Krellian war chief. He was reptilian, with scales that shone green and gold under the lights. His teeth were sharp when he spoke. "Your fleets are primitive," Korvan said with a laugh. "Your weapons are weak. Your ships are slow. You have been in space for less than 100 years. We have ruled the stars for 10,000. You should be grateful we do not simply take everything from you." Other council members made sounds of agreement. Some clicked their mandibles. Others hissed or growled in their own languages. Jae-won leaned close to Han Sol and whispered something. Han Sol nodded slightly but did not look away from the council. Velroth raised one of his 4 arms. The chamber fell silent. "The council has made its decision," he announced. "Humanity will surrender 70% of all colonized worlds. You will also surrender 70% of all resources currently held in your storage facilities. Your military fleet will be reduced to 30 ships. No more. These terms are final." "Final?" Han Sol spoke for the first time. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the chamber. "Yes," Velroth said. "Final. You have 24 hours to accept these terms. If you refuse, the Council will take what it wants by force. Your species is young and weak. You cannot stand against us," Korvan laughed again. "I hope you refuse. My warriors need practice. Your little ships will give them something to shoot at." More sounds of amusement came from the council members. Some of them were already standing to leave as if the matter was settled. Daeun tapped her datapad twice. She showed the screen to Han Sol. He glanced at it, then looked back up at the council. "Ambassador Han Sol," Velroth said. "Do you understand the terms?" "I understand," Han Sol said. "Good. Then you will return to Earth and inform your government. 24 hours. Not 1 minute more." Han Sol took a step forward, then another. He walked slowly toward the edge of the circle, his footsteps echoing in the quiet chamber. The council members watched him. Some looked bored. Others looked amused. He stopped and turned back to face them. "No," he said. The chamber went completely silent. Even the soft hum of the station's systems seemed to fade away. "What did you say?" Velroth's mechanical voice had an edge to it now. "No," Han Sol repeated. "We reject your terms. All of them." Korvan stood up from his chair. His scales seemed to darken. "You refuse the Council?" "No species has ever refused the Council." "Then we are the first," Han Sol said. His voice remained calm, almost pleasant. "You want our worlds? You want our resources? Then come and take them." The chamber erupted. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Velroth raised all 4 arms, trying to restore order. Korvan was roaring something about crushing humanity like insects. Han Sol turned to Jae-won. "Are our ships in position?" "Yes, sir," Jae-won said quietly. "Every fleet, every ship, all waiting for your order." "Good." Han Sol looked at Daeun. "Send the signal. Tell them we are coming home. Tell them to prepare for war." Daeun's fingers moved across her datapad. A moment later she nodded. "Signal sent, sir." Velroth finally managed to silence the other council members. He stared down at Han Sol with those black mirror eyes. "You are making a terrible mistake," the Vraxian said. "We will destroy you. Your species will be erased from the stars." Han Sol smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible, but it was there. "You talk too much," he said. "You have been talking for weeks now, demands, threats, warnings, always talking. We are done listening." He turned and began walking toward the exit. Jae-won and Daeun followed him. The council members watched in stunned silence. At the doorway, Hansel stopped. He looked back one last time at the assembled aliens, at their shocked faces, at their anger and disbelief. Enough talking, he said clearly. Let's start the war. Then he walked out and the door closed behind him. For a long moment, the council chamber remained silent. Then Korvan let out a roar and smashed his fist against his chair. Gather the fleets, he shouted. All of them. We will crush these humans. We will show them what happens when they defy the council. Other voices joined his. War cries in a dozen different languages, calls for blood and vengeance. But Velroth did not join them. He sat very still in his high chair, staring at the door where the humans had left. Something about Hansol's smile bothered him. Something about the way the human had walked out without fear. It was the walk of someone who knew something the council did not. Outside the station, Hansol and his team boarded their ship. It was a small vessel designed for diplomatic missions. Nothing impressive to look at. As they settled into their seats, Jae-Won pulled up a tactical display. It showed the positions of every human ship in known space. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. All moving into position. They will attack within days, Jae-Won said. Maybe hours. Let them, Hansol said quietly. He was looking out at the stars. We have been preparing for this moment since the day we met them. They think we are weak. They think we are primitive. They think we are afraid. He turned to face his crew. His calm expression had not changed. They are about to learn what humanity really is. The alien fleet came out of hyperspace like a storm. 300 warships, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. They arranged themselves in formation, blocking out the stars. Their shields glowed with power, their weapons charged with energy that could crack planets. On the bridge of the human flagship, Admiral Tae Yang watched them arrive. He was an older man with white hair and scars on his hands from years of service. His uniform was worn but clean. His eyes were steady. Count? He asked quietly. 312 confirmed, his tactical officer replied. All council species. Krellian, Vraxian, and at least 6 others. And our forces? 60 ships in this sector, sir. Tae Yang nodded. 5-to-1 odds. Just as they had expected. Just as they had planned for. Open a channel, he said. Let's hear what they have to say. The view screen changed. A Krellian commander appeared, his scales gleaming red in the light of his ship's bridge. Behind him, dozens of crew members moved with military precision. Human vessels, the Krellian said. His voice was deep and harsh. You are ordered to power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Surrender now and you will be treated fairly. Resist and you will be destroyed, Tae Yang smiled. It was not a friendly smile. We decline, he said simply. The Krellian's eyes widened. Then he laughed. You decline? You have 60 ships. We have 300. Your weapons are toys compared to ours. Surrender now or die. Then I suppose we die, Tae Yang said and closed the channel. He turned to his crew. All ships execute pattern Delta, scatter and retreat. Make them chase us. The human fleet broke apart. Ships peeled away in different directions, their engines flaring as they accelerated. To the watching aliens, it looked like panic. It looked like the humans were running away in fear. The alien fleet followed. Of course they did. This was what they knew. This was how wars were fought. Chase the enemy. Corner them. Destroy them. In her fighter cockpit, Bora watched the alien ships pursuing her squadron. She was young for a squadron commander, only 28, but she had trained for this her entire adult life. Her hands were steady on the controls. Griffin Squadron, stay tight, she said into her comm. Lead them exactly where we planned. Not too fast, not too slow. Make them think they are catching us. Her squadron of 20 fighters dove toward a nearby asteroid field. The rocks there were massive, some as large as moons. Behind them, 50 alien warships followed, their weapons charging. Almost there, Bora whispered to herself. Just a little more. They entered the asteroid field at full speed. The human fighters weaved between the rocks with practiced ease. The alien ships followed, larger and slower, but still confident in their superior firepower. Now, Bora shouted. The asteroids came alive. Weapons platforms that had been hidden on the rocks for weeks suddenly activated. Missiles streaked out from concealed launchers. Energy beams cut through space. Mines that looked like ordinary space debris exploded with devastating force. The alien formation shattered. Ships tried to turn, tried to retreat, but they were too close together, too focused on the chase. The asteroids that they thought were just obstacles were actually cover for hundreds of human weapons. Bo-Ra pulled her fighter around and watched as alien ships exploded one after another. Their shields, designed to stop massive energy weapons from other capital ships, were useless against the smaller, faster missiles that the humans used. Griffin Squadron, attack pattern Omega, she ordered. Her fighters dove back into the chaos, their own weapons adding to the destruction. Across the battlefield, Captain Hyunwoo watched from his frigate. He had positioned his small ship in the shadow of a large asteroid, powered down to minimum levels, invisible to enemy sensors. "Sir, the trap is working," his sensor officer said. "Enemy casualties at 23% and climbing." "Good," Hyunwoo said. He was a quiet man who had served on merchant ships before joining the military. He knew how to wait, how to be patient. "Bring us around. Target their command ship." His frigate emerged from the asteroid's shadow along with 12 others. They had been waiting there, silent and hidden, while the enemy focused on the apparent retreat. Now they struck at the alien fleet from behind. The human ships were small, but their weapons were precise. They did not try to fight the big alien warships head-on. Instead, they targeted engines and sensors. They aimed for communication arrays and weapon systems. They fought like hunters taking down prey much larger than themselves. The alien commander tried to reorganize his forces, tried to fall back into defensive formation, but his ships were scattered now. Some were damaged. Others were trying to escape the asteroid field. His carefully planned attack had turned into chaos. Back on his flagship, Admiral Taeyang watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The red dots representing enemy ships were disappearing one by one. His own forces, shown in blue, danced around them like wolves around a herd. "Casualty report," he ordered. "We have lost 4 fighters and 1 corvette," the tactical officer replied. "Enemy losses are at 94 ships confirmed destroyed, another 47 damaged. Almost half the alien fleet. Gone in less than an hour. The remaining alien ships were retreating now. Really retreating this time, not the fake retreat the humans had performed. They jumped to hyperspace in small groups, abandoning their damaged comrades. Taeyang let them go. There was no point in chasing. The message had been sent. "Open a channel to Earth," he said. "Secure channel, command frequency." A moment later, Han Sol's face appeared on the screen. The Supreme Commander was in his office on Earth, but he looked as calm as ever. "Report, Admiral," Han Sol said. "First engagement complete, sir," Taeyang replied. "Enemy force of 312 reduced to 171. They have withdrawn. Our losses are minimal." Han Sol nodded slowly. They will be confused now, angry. They expected an easy victory. Instead, they lost nearly half their attack force. "Yes, sir." "What are your orders?" "Continue as planned. Do not give them time to think. Do not let them regroup. Hit them again and again. Make them question everything they thought they knew about warfare." "Understood, sir." Han Sol leaned forward slightly. "Admiral, they will send more ships. Many more. This was just their first wave. The real test is coming," Taeyang smiled. "Then we will be ready for them, sir." "We have been ready for a very long time." The channel closed. Taeyang turned to his crew. "All ships form up. We move to the next sector in 1 hour. I want damage reports and resupply completed before then. The enemy will be back, and when they come, they will be angry." "Sir," his tactical officer asked, "do you think they will change their tactics?" Taeyang considered the question. "No," he said finally. "They have fought the same way for thousands of years. Big fleets, direct assaults. They will do what they have always done. They will send more ships and expect to win through numbers. And we will keep beating them. We will keep teaching them," Taeyang corrected. "Teaching them that warfare is not about who has the biggest fleet. It is about who adapts fastest, who thinks differently, who is willing to do what the enemy does not expect." He looked out at the debris field that had been an alien fleet, ships that had been built over decades, crews that had trained for years, all gone because they fought the way they always fought. Humanity had spent centuries fighting wars on Earth, small wars and large wars, wars with primitive weapons and wars with advanced ones. Humans knew how to fight when they were outnumbered, when they were outgunned, when victory seemed impossible. The Council was about to learn what that experience meant. The Council war room was deep inside their largest station. Screens covered every wall, showing battles across dozens of systems. Red lights blinked where human forces had struck. Blue lights showed Council fleets. There were far too many red lights. Velroth stood at the center, his forearms gesturing at different displays. His voice was no longer calm and measured. It was sharp with frustration. "Explain this to me," he demanded. "We sent 5 fleets, 5. Each one larger than the entire human military, and they have all been forced to retreat. How is this possible?" Corvin paced back and forth. The Krellian war chief had lost his earlier confidence. His scales looked dull under the harsh lights. "They do not fight like anyone we have ever faced," he said. "They do not meet us in open battle. They hide, they ambush. They strike at our supply lines instead of our warships. This is not honorable combat. Honorable or not, it is working," Velroth snapped. "Our losses are mounting. Theirs remain minimal. We need a new strategy." "We should lay siege to their colonies," Corvin suggested. "Surround them. Cut them off. Force them to surrender or starve." "Do it," Velroth ordered. 3 days later, Council fleets moved to blockade 5 human colony worlds. They formed tight defensive spheres around each planet. No ship could get in or out, or so they thought. In the darkness between stars, Captain Subin watched the blockade from her stealth ship. The vessel was small, barely larger than a fighter, but it was invisible to every sensor the Council possessed. Subin was thin and quiet, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had spent 2 years testing this ship before the war began, learning its limits, understanding what it could do. "Supply convoy approaching," her co-pilot whispered. 6 freighters, 3 escort vessels." "Mark them," Subin said. Her fingers moved across the controls. A targeting laser, invisible and undetectable, painted each ship. Information was transmitted back to waiting human forces. Targets marked. Moving to next convoy route, this was the new pattern. Human stealth ships slipped through Council space like ghosts. They found supply convoys. They located fuel depots. They mapped communication relays. And then other human forces struck fast and hard before disappearing again. The Council fleets blockading human worlds soon found themselves running low on ammunition, on fuel, on food. Their mighty warships became floating prisons for their own crews. On Earth, Han Sol met with his advisors in a secure conference room. Jaewon was presenting the latest intelligence reports. "The blockades are failing," Jaewon explained. 3 have already withdrawn. The other 2 are requesting emergency resupply. Council morale is dropping significantly. "What about their main battle fleets?" Han Sol asked. "Holding position in their core systems. They are afraid to commit them." "Afraid of losing more ships," Han Sol nodded. "Good, fear is useful. It makes people think, makes them question their assumptions." Daun spoke up from her position at the table. "Sir, we intercepted a transmission from the Council. They are beginning to study human military history." "About time," Jaewon muttered. Han Sol smiled slightly. "What did they find?" "Everything," Daun replied. "They are going through our historical databases, reading about Earth wars, ancient wars, modern wars. They are starting to understand that warfare is not just something humans do. It is something humans have been perfecting for our entire history." Back in the Council war room, Velroth was reading those same reports. His black mirror eyes scanned through files on human conflicts. The Mongol invasions, the world wars, the guerrilla campaigns, the naval battles, the air superiority doctrine. Thousands of years of human warfare. Millions of battles. Countless tactics and strategies, all developed on one small planet by creatures who had been fighting each other since they learned to make weapons. "They were studying us," Velroth said quietly to himself. "The whole time we thought we were teaching them, they were studying us. Learning how we fight, finding our weaknesses." A communication came through from one of the retreating blockade fleets. Velroth opened it. The alien commander looked exhausted. "We cannot maintain the blockade," the commander reported. "Our supplies are gone. Our crews are hungry. And we still have not seen the enemy fleet that must be nearby. We are withdrawing before we are destroyed." "Withdraw," Velroth authorized. What else could he say? Corvin slammed his fist against a console. "This is intolerable. We are the Council. We have ruled for 10,000 years. We cannot be defeated by these primitives." "They are not primitives," Velroth said quietly. He was still reading through the human military files. "That was our mistake. We thought advanced technology meant advanced warfare. But they have something we never developed. They have necessity." "What do you mean?" Velroth gestured at the screens showing human history. "Look at their world. One planet, limited resources, hundreds of different nations and cultures. They spent their entire history fighting each other. Not for glory or honor, but for survival. Every war taught them lessons. Every defeat made them adapt. Every victory showed them new possibilities. He turned to face Korvan. We formed the council and stopped fighting among ourselves. We grew soft. We followed the same strategies for millennia because they always worked. But humans never stopped fighting. Never stopped learning. Never stopped improving. Another message came in. This one was marked urgent. Felroth opened it and his eyes widened. It was a recording. Somehow, the humans had intercepted a council military planning session and were now broadcasting it back to them. But there was a message attached. A message from J1. The human appeared on screen. His expression was calm, but his words were sharp. To the Galactic Council, J1 said, you thought you could intimidate us with your numbers, your technology, your thousands of years of history, but you made one critical error. You taught us how you fight. You showed us your tactics, your strategies, your weaknesses. We watched. We learned. We adapted. That is what humans do. We adapt. He leaned closer to the camera. You wanted war. We gave you war, but not the war you expected, not the war you trained for. We gave you a human war, and now you are learning what that means. The message ended. Felroth stood in silence for a long moment. What do we do? Korvan asked. For the first time, there was doubt in his voice. Felroth looked at the tactical displays. At the red marks showing human activity. At the blue marks showing council forces being pushed back system by system. We commit everything, he said finally. All our reserves. Every ship we have. We cannot match their tactics, so we will overwhelm them with pure numbers. Even humans cannot fight an entire galaxy. And if that fails, Felroth did not answer. He did not want to think about what failure meant. The Council had never lost a war. Never. In 10,000 years, they had conquered or absorbed every species they encountered, but they had never fought humans before. In her stealth ship, Subin detected the massive movement of Council forces, hundreds of ships, thousands of ships, all converging toward human space. They are coming, she reported to command. Everything they have. This is their final push. Han Sol's voice came back over the secure channel. Good, let them come. It is time to show them what we have really been building. Subin smiled in the darkness of her cockpit. The Council thought they understood now. Thought they had figured out human tactics. They had no idea what was waiting for them. The Council Armada was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Over 2,000 warships from every member species. Enough firepower to shatter planets. Enough ships to block out the sun of any system they entered. They came out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Row after row of massive vessels, their shields already raised, their weapons already charged. This time there would be no ambushes, no tricks, just overwhelming force. Commander Young-Su watched them arrive from the bridge of his experimental warship. The vessel was new, built in secret over the past 5 years. From the outside it looked like a standard human cruiser. Inside it was something else entirely. Young-Su was in his early 40s with gray starting to show in his dark hair. He had been a test pilot before taking command of this ship. He knew every system, every capability, every secret count. He asked his tactical officer. 2,147 confirmed, came the reply. Sir, they outnumber us 30 to 1. Noted, Young-Su said calmly. He turned to his chief engineer. Mireille, status on the swarm? Mireille was younger than him by 10 years, brilliant and focused. She had designed most of the systems on this ship. Her fingers flew across her console. All drone systems green, she reported. Quantum network is stable. AI coordination is at full capacity. We can launch whenever you are ready. Not yet, Young-Su said. Let them get closer. Let them think they have us. The Council fleet advanced slowly, maintaining their tight formation. They had learned from their earlier defeats. No more rushing forward, no more breaking ranks to chase fleeing enemies. This time they would be disciplined. Velroth watched from his command ship in the center of the formation. Everything about this attack had been carefully planned. They would advance together, fight together, win together. The humans could not possibly stand against this much firepower. All ships prepare to fire, he ordered. Target the human vessels. We end this today. Young-Su saw the energy readings spike across the enemy fleet. Thousands of weapons charging simultaneously. Now Mireille. Launching, she said, and pressed a single button. The human ship opened. Not just one bay, but dozens of them. Hundreds of small objects shot out into space, spreading in every direction. They looked like missiles at first. Then they began to move independently with intelligence and purpose. Drones. Thousands of them. Each one the size of a fighter, but faster, more agile and coordinated by quantum-linked AI that allowed them to act as a single organism. And that was just from one ship. Every human vessel in the fleet did the same. 70 ships each releasing their swarms. Within seconds, there were over 300,000 drones filling the space between the two fleets. Attack Pattern Alpha, Young-Soo ordered. Overwhelming force. The drones swarmed forward like a storm of metal and fire. They moved in coordinated waves, each wave striking a different part of the Council formation. They did not have powerful weapons. They did not need them. They had numbers and intelligence. The Council ships opened fire, their massive weapons designed to destroy other capital ships. But the drones were too small, too fast, too many. For every dozen destroyed, 100 more took their place. And they learned. The AI controlling them adapted with each passing second, finding weaknesses in the enemy defenses. Velroth watched in horror as his perfect formation fell apart. Ships were swarmed by hundreds of drones each. Their shields, designed to stop massive energy blasts, were useless against thousands of small impacts. Their weapons could not track targets that moved so quickly and unpredictably. All ships fall back, he ordered. Retreat and regroup. But the drones followed. They pursued the retreating ships like predators chasing wounded prey. And they kept learning, kept adapting, kept finding new ways to break through defenses. On his ship, Young-Soo watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The red dots representing Council ships were being surrounded by blue clouds of drones. One by one, the red dots began to disappear. Sir, we are receiving a transmission, his communications officer said. It's from one of the Council ships. They are requesting permission to board. Young-Soo raised an eyebrow. To board us? Are they surrendering? No, sir. They think they can win if they take our ships in close combat. They are sending boarding parties. Young-Soo smiled. Let them try. Alert Commander Dong-hyun. Tell him he has incoming guests. Deep in the ship, Dong-hyun received the alert. He was a large man, built like a fortress with scars from years of combat training. Around him, his Marine squad prepared their equipment. They wore powered armor that made them stronger and faster than any unaugmented being. Their weapons were designed for ship-to-ship combat, and they had trained for this exact scenario hundreds of times. Enemy boarding craft detected, the ship's AI announced. Breaching in Section 7. Let's go, Dong-hyun said. His squad moved through the corridors with practiced efficiency. They reached Section 7 just as the alien boarders cut through the hull. The aliens came in fast, expecting to overwhelm the crew. They were Krellian warriors, the finest soldiers the Council had. Big, strong, and experienced in combat. They lasted less than 2 minutes against Dong-hyun's Marines. The powered armor made the humans stronger. The training made them faster. The experience made them deadly. The aliens never had a chance. Section 7 secured, Dong-hyun reported. All enemy boarders eliminated. No casualties on our side. Similar reports came in from other human ships. Every boarding attempt was repelled. Every alien squad was defeated. In the Council war room, the remaining leaders watched the battle unfold with growing desperation. Their greatest fleet was being torn apart. Their best soldiers were being defeated. Nothing was working. Korvan stood at the tactical display, his hands gripping the edge so hard his claws dug into the metal. He had led the charge for this war. He had promised victory. He had been so certain. We must negotiate, one of the other Council members said. Before we lose everything. No, Korvan roared. I will not surrender to these primitives. Send more ships. Send everything. There are no more ships, Velroth said quietly. This was everything. This was our last chance, and we are losing. Then I will go myself, Korvan declared. I will lead the final assault personally. I will show these humans what a true warrior can do. Before anyone could stop him, Korvan left the war room. He boarded his personal warship, rallied what remained of his fleet, and charged directly at Young-Soo's vessel. Young-Soo watched the Krellian command ship approach. It was massive, powerful, and heading straight for him. He's trying to ram us, Mireille said. No, Young-Soo said. He's trying to prove something. Show that courage and honor matter more than technology. Focus all drones on that ship. Take it down. The drones swarmed Corvin's ship like flies on meat. They hit it from every angle, overwhelming its defenses through sheer numbers. The great warship's shields flickered and failed. Its armor cracked. Its engines died. Corvin's last transmission was a war cry in his native language. Then his ship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen across the battlefield. The remaining council ships stopped fighting. They simply stopped. Without orders. Without coordination. They just drifted in space, waiting. In the war room, Velroth stared at the display showing where Corvin's ship had been. The Krellian had been his rival for years. They had disagreed on nearly everything, but he had been brave. He had believed in the Council's superiority until the very end. Call for a vote, Velroth said quietly. We must decide if we continue this war or seek peace. The vote was quick. 7 members voted to seek peace. 5 voted to continue fighting. It was enough. Velroth composed a message to the humans. His hands, all 4 of them, shook slightly as he typed. To the human leadership, the message began. The Galactic Council requests an immediate ceasefire and wishes to discuss terms for peace. We acknowledge that we underestimated your capabilities. We are prepared to negotiate in good faith. He sent the message and waited. In the silence of the war room, surrounded by displays showing the destruction of their fleet, the council members waited to see if humanity would show them mercy, or if the war would continue until the council was completely destroyed. When humanity's leader said, "Enough talking, let's start the war," the neutral space station looked the same as it had 2 months earlier. The same walls, the same stars visible through the windows, the same council chamber, but everything else had changed. Han Sol walked through the corridors with Jaewon and Daeun beside him. Behind them came an honor guard of human marines in full-powered armor. The message was clear. Humanity came from a position of strength. They entered the council chamber. It was different now. The high seats where the aliens had looked down on them were empty. Instead, a simple conference table had been set up in the center. Equal seating for everyone. Velroth was already there, along with representatives from the other council species. They looked tired, defeated. Some of them could not meet Han Sol's eyes. Ambassador Han Sol, Velroth said formally, "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Han Sol nodded and took his seat. Jaewon and Daeun sat on either side of him. A young diplomatic aide named Seo Jun took the seat behind them, ready to take notes. "You requested this meeting," Han Sol said. "I am listening." Velroth's forearms moved in what might have been a gesture of submission. "The Council acknowledges that we were wrong. We underestimated humanity. We were arrogant and foolish. We asked for peace." "Peace," Han Sol repeated. "That is interesting. 2 months ago you demanded our surrender. You wanted 70% of our territory. You threatened to destroy us if we refused. Now you want peace." One of the other council members, a tall insectoid creature, spoke up. "We made mistakes. We are willing to make amends. What are your terms?" Han Sol gestured to Jaewon, who pulled up a document on his tablet and projected it onto the table for everyone to see. "These are humanity's terms for peace," Jaewon said. "First, complete mutual non-aggression. Neither side will attack the other for any reason. Second, full trade rights for human merchants in council space. Third, reparations for the damage caused during the war. Fourth, recognition of human sovereignty over all currently held territories." The council members looked at each other in confusion. One of them spoke. "That is all? You do not demand our surrender? You do not want to take our worlds? Our resources?" "No," Han Sol said simply. "But you won," another alien said. "You destroyed our fleets. You proved your military superiority. You could demand anything. Why do you not?" Han Sol leaned forward. "Because we never wanted this war in the first place. You forced it on us. You thought we were weak and tried to take advantage. We proved you wrong, but that does not mean we want to become conquerors." Velroth studied the human leader carefully. "I do not understand. Every species in galactic history has sought power, dominance, control. It is the natural way of things. Why are humans different?" Seojun, the young aide, spoke up unexpectedly. "May I answer that, sir?" Han Sol nodded. "Go ahead." Seojun stood and addressed the council. His voice was steady despite his youth. "Humans have spent thousands of years building empires and watching them fall," he explained. We have seen what happens when one group tries to dominate all others. It never lasts. It always ends in rebellion and bloodshed. We learned that lesson over and over again on our own world. He walked around the table, making eye contact with each council member. What we want is peace through strength, not domination. We want to be strong enough that no one dares attack us, but we do not want to rule over others. That is not victory. That is just setting up the next war. He returned to his seat. The council members sat in silence, processing this idea. Da-Yoon added her own contribution. We also want you to know something else. We could have targeted your homeworlds. We had the capability. Our stealth ships mapped every major population center in council space. We could have destroyed them at any time. She paused to let that sink in. But we chose not to. We fought your military. We destroyed your fleets. We defeated your soldiers. But we never once targeted civilians. We never threatened your people. Because that is not who humans are. One of the council members made a sound that might have been awe or fear. You had us at your mercy and showed restraint. Why? Because mercy is strength, Han Sol said. Anyone can destroy. It takes real strength to show restraint, to win and then offer peace instead of revenge. He stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. We proved we can fight, he continued. We proved we can win? Now we want to prove we can coexist, that we can trade, that we can share knowledge, that we can be neighbors instead of enemies. Velroth stood as well. The council accepts your terms, he said formally. All of them. We will sign the treaty immediately. There is one more thing, Jaewon said. We propose a defensive alliance. If any external threat attacks the council, humanity will assist in the defense. In exchange, the council will do the same for human worlds. The council members looked at each other in surprise. Then one by one they nodded. Agreed, Velroth said. The council would be honored to have humanity as an ally. The treaty was drafted quickly. Both sides signed it with formal ceremony. When it was done, the council members began to file out of the chamber. Velroth lingered behind. When only he and Han Sol remained, he approached the human leader. May I ask you something personal? The Vraxian asked. Of course. Did you plan this from the beginning? When you first met the council, did you already know it would come to war? Han Sol smiled. It was that same small smile from 2 months ago. We prepared for every possibility, he said. We hoped for peace. We planned for war. We built our fleets in secret. We developed our tactics. We studied your military history and found your weaknesses, all while pretending to be grateful students learning from the wise council. He turned to face Velroth directly. You chose to make demands. You chose to threaten us. You chose war. We simply chose to win it. Velroth was quiet for a moment. Then he made a gesture of respect with all 4 arms. I understand now why we lost, he said. We thought we were fighting a war. You were teaching a lesson? Exactly, Han Sol agreed. And now that the lesson is learned, we can move forward. As allies, as partners, as equals. They shook hands, or the equivalent with Velroth's multiple limbs. Then the Vraxian left. Han Sol stood alone in the council chamber for a moment, looking at the table where the treaty had been signed. Jaewon and Da-Eun came back in. It is done, sir, Jaewon said. We have peace. Yes, Han Sol agreed. Peace that will last because it was earned, not demanded. They respect us now. They fear us a little, but more importantly, they understand us. Do you think there will be more challenges? Da-Eun asked. Other species who might test us? Perhaps, Han Sol said. But now the word will spread. The council attacked humanity and lost. Other species will think carefully before making the same mistake. They walked toward the exit together. Outside, the human fleet waited in formation. Powerful, ready, but at peace. As they boarded their ship, Seo-jun asked a question. Sir, if you knew we could win, why did you offer such generous terms? We could have demanded much more. Han Sol settled into his seat as the ship prepared to depart. Because, Seo-jun, the goal was never conquest. It was never about proving we are better than them. The goal was to establish that humanity will not be pushed around, that we will defend ourselves, that we are equals in this galaxy, not subjects. He looked out at the stars as the ship began to move. Sometimes the best victory is not crushing your enemy. It is turning your enemy into an ally, making them see you as a partner instead of a threat. That is how you build lasting peace. The ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving the neutral station behind. Back on Earth, celebrations had already begun. The war was over. Humanity had won. But more than that, humanity had proven something important. They had shown the galaxy that they belonged, that they were not newcomers to be exploited, that they were a force to be respected. The Council had asked for war, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they got a lesson in what it meant to fight humans, a lesson about adaptability, about innovation, about the difference between having powerful weapons and knowing how to use them. They had learned that warfare was not about size or age or tradition. It was about thinking, about learning, about being willing to do what others would not expect. And they had learned that humanity, despite being young by galactic standards, had been perfecting the art of war for thousands of years. That every conflict in human history had taught lessons, that every defeat had led to adaptation, that every victory had led to new strategies. The Council thought they were starting a war. Humanity knew they were teaching a lesson. They asked for war. Humanity gave them a lesson instead.